What's going on, you guys? My name is Matt, and I enjoy talking about cool Pokemon cards, more specifically, Air Pokemon cards. Now let's get right into this week's episode. Kicking things off, we have a Kingler, a Topps Kingler. Now, you should be saying, Matt, why is the error card Snorlax? Well, that's the error. The backside of this card is wrong. So front side is Kingler, back side is Snorlax, and it's also miscut too. So we got a double error here, a very interesting one. Yeah, you can see what it should look like. And this card sold for quite a bit this week, I would say. It sold for $72. That doesn't sound like a crazy amount, but for a Topps non-holo card, that's pretty darn good. Average non-error price is $1.84 for this, and so that gives us a 3,813% error value increase. And in my ranking system, that is good enough for number 4 this week on our list of error value increases. I forgot to put this in the video, but if you are purchasing an error card on eBay, and it's a best accepted offer price, end your offer in 22 cents. That's going to be my way to see if my community is purchasing error cards, and I think it's going to be the coolest thing ever. I forgot to talk about it, but please do it if you do. Thank you. Next up, we have an OG. I'd say the King OG. We have a base set Charizard with a mirror holo error. This is also called the incomplete holo error, one of the errors that PSA actually recognizes. And this is where there are no sparkly stars in that holo. You can see it's just very clear mirror finish. I think it looks awesome. This is a PSA 4, and speak of PSA, this is actually sold by PSA. PSA 4, and it sold for $639 this week. That is a lot of money. You will not see many PSA 4s sell for that much. By the way, I reached out to PSA on eBay and they never responded, so. Average non-error price for a grade 4 Charizard is $200. So EVI is 220%. As I always say, EVI will never be crazy high for Charizard just because it is that gosh darn popular. And that's it. Let's go on to the next one. Next up, we have a CGC9 Mew. This is a promo card, and this is an additional ink error. If you cannot see the additional ink, I really need you to check out a doctor, do something, because you have a problem. I'm sorry to say that. There is a lot of additional ink here, and I actually I know someone who was bidding on this card. They unfortunately did not win it, but they also brought to my attention that this is somewhat of a repeating error. So something happened with this Mew promo card. I'm guessing they were all on the same uncut sheet, but there are several other cards with varying degrees of additional pink ink going across the card. This is the most severe I've seen, and so I guess we can kind of call this a repeating error. It's not a well-known one, but it is one, in fact. And this one sold in auction. It sold for $305. Now that's a pretty good amount for this. And usually I say you won't get your money's worth if you do an auction, but I think for something this rare, you might. I think you could do better selling it on an auction if it's like a consignment shop rather than doing best accepted offer price. Just something about the hype can build the price up rather than just waiting for a specific buyer, because sometimes that won't come around or won't come around quickly enough. Non-error version for this card goes for around $18. That gives us a 1,553% EVI, but that is not in the top 10. As I say pretty frequently, we have a pretty good top 10 this week. Next up, we have a PSA 10 base set Diglett with the rotated fight symbol error. So it's under dig here, the one fight symbol there, it's rotated to the left 90 degrees. And you can look above me here if you do not believe me. That is the screenshot from there. And this one, I don't own it myself. I don't know why. It doesn't go for a lot. You can see a PSA 10, so perfect, only went for $100. That's a good amount, even compared to the average non-error price of around $38, but it's not anything crazy. We're not talking high up hundreds or even thousands. So it's a cool card. I usually don't talk about it, but because it's a PSA 10, I did talk about it, and it's... And one thing that's interesting, actually, price charting is insane. So I have error price and non-error price here for this card through the grades. They have it listed for way too high. I don't know if there was a time back in, I don't know if there was a period where this card was just hot, 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 and it was selling for a lot. That rhymed, but I really don't think this is accurate at all, and I know that. Ungraded, it goes for $18. No, I see him go for like $3 or $4. And then it has a PSA 10 going for $200. This one sold for $100. So price charting needs to do better. Next up, here's another one I never really talk about because it gets kind of annoying, at least for myself. So this is a Pop Series 5 Mew, and this is an inverted back error. So I believe a good portion, it may be like 50-60% of all of the Mews here have this inverted back. It may be higher than that even. And so basically everyone has it. I think the corrected version might be rarer, but it's not as cool. So it's weird to talk about, and I don't know what I put for the non-error card, if it's like the corrected version, but if that's rarer. So that's just something I have a hard time as a content creator putting this out. But again, just like the last one, this is a PSA 10, so I wanted to talk about it. So yeah, inverted back, it's cool. This is a perfect card, and it sold for a lot. So I guess I shouldn't be beating around the bush here too much. It sold for $2,200, so that's still very cool. It's an interesting card. I just probably won't talk about it again for a while. So get your fill now, because I ain't talking about it for a while. Next up, we have an ice cream cone of Vanillite. Never really heard that Pokemon before. And this is an inverted and miscut back. So these are pretty... I don't want to say common, they're prevalent in just about every set, I would say. All the way from base set to the more modern Pokemon cards now, it's been seen to have these inverted backs, and it seems like for some reason this specific orientation of the back is more prevalent when it is an inverted back. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's something just with how the process is, where it makes sense if it is inverted, that like some part of the process lends it to be this kind of miscut. But I feel like whenever I talk about these, it's always in this orientation. If you know more about this, which is probably every single one of you rather than me, let me know in the comments, because I am curious how this all works, and I know this community is very smart. Hey Matt, you didn't talk about the price. Yes, this sold for $53.25 this week. Average non-error price is $1.43. That gives us 3,624% error value increase, and that is good enough for number 6 this week. Do you guys ever have someone in your life that has lied to you? And then they've lied to you so many times, and you just get so sick of it that you just have to completely cut them out of your life? Well, that's not really the case for me, but there was a Reddit user who told me, he didn't tell me, he posted it in a group, and he said that there is only one uncut sheet of this. I don't know if he started the rumor or someone else did. Someone lied to me. So if you don't know, this is an inverted stamp error Mewtwo from the first Pokemon movie. And as I alluded to, it is said that there was only 30 of each, so 120 total, which is one uncut sheet. But I posted a short about this recently, and someone commented saying, the pop report on the PSA or CGC is 33 for Mewtwo. So it's like, well, there goes that theory. I don't know, maybe is there 2 sheets? If you know any more information, please let me know. I know that Reddit user didn't mean to lie to me, but he did. He or she did. And I guess I'm really not that upset about it. So yes, this is a very cool card. This is one of the higher grades I have seen. I don't believe we've seen a perfect 10 through any of the grading companies for this. If there is one, let me know, because I bet that is insane. Maybe it just hasn't sold, but someone got it themselves. You know, so there is a pop report. I do not look at those really. But this one sold for $1,950. $2,000 for a non-hollow Pokemon card. That is freaking incredible. Average non-error price, $35 for a grade 9. That gives us a 5,471% error value increase. And that is good enough for number 3 this week. 3. This is a strong week. Okay, I say this every week, and I mean it every week. I just threw these into Premiere. I don't know what order they're in. I just know the best cards at the end, the winner. But other than that, I have no idea what pops up next. So that's why we have such a weird top 10 so far. And let's build on that. Here we have a Lucky Ice Pop Popsicle. We have had 2 Frosty desserts in this top 10 so far. And yeah, this is a wonky, a skewed, a twisted miscut. This is cool. You can see it got so wonky that actually the bottom right portion of it is actually not even like in the shape of a regular Pokemon card. So that just alludes to how much it got twisted. And this is awesome. You can see 2 alignment dots only. Sometimes if it's aligned perfectly, you can see 7 or 8. I think that's the highest I've seen. I think that's the most you can get. But yes, 2 alignment dots, and the lack of alignment dots did not really take away the price at all. This sold for $70 this week. That's pretty freaking insane. Average non-Aero price is $1.19. There's no surprise there. This seems like probably one of the most basic cards you could ever have, ever. And the air value increase is 5,782%. That's good enough for number 2 this week on the list of EVI. Next up, we have a repeating error. We have a CGC8 Execute. This is the reverse holo from Legendary Collections, and this is a misaligned print layer error. You can see this where the energy symbols are, the Psychic Energy and the 2 Grass Energies there on the left side of the card. And as I said in the beginning, this is a repeating error. Very cool. Shocking it doesn't sell for more. It must be prevalent enough where it really doesn't get that high of a price, that high of a sale price, because a CGC 8 sold for $122.50. Again, if we just step back and say, hey, a Pokemon card, a piece of plastic sold for $120, that's pretty cool. That's crazy. But once you kind of get in the weeds of Pokemon and you know more about the pricing and everything, it's not that impressive, honestly. EVI is around 91%. I think this is an awesome error. I would love to have one. I should probably start hunting for one at some point here. But yeah, did not sell for too much, really. So here we have another PSA base set mirror holo, and this one is a Venusaur. I did not even check if this is the same seller or not. Give me 1 second. No, it's not. One was sold by PSA. This was just a different person. So this one sold in auction for $113.50 this week. That is not as high as the Charizard. That's to be expected. But I would have liked to see this go for a little bit more. I think because PSA was selling it, the Ultimate Consignment Shop, I think they're a consignment shop on eBay. But that's probably why they got more eyeballs on the Charizard. Obviously, the Charizard's worth more, but I think this could have sold for a little bit more. Awesome card, and it sold for a good amount more than the non-error price here. Next up, here's one I have not seen before. Here we have a Pikachu from Pokemon Evolutions. 2016, that is when the set came out. Get to the card mat. And this is a square cut error. This is 2 square corner errors. You can see it's the top left and the bottom left. And boy, we actually have an alignment dot in the bottom left there. That is pretty neat. That's like getting just enough on there, just enough card to sneak the alignment dot on there. This got graded a BGS 7. I believe only CGC and BGS grade square cuts. Or the CGC too. I know PSA doesn't. I don't know. But this is one I haven't seen before. This is awesome. So this is actually pulled from a pack. This is not factory cut. And very unique. I have not seen this. And was listed for $300 and sold for $200. And boy, wouldn't you know it, that EVI of 3,233% is good enough for number 8 this week on the list of EVI. Next up, we have a Gyarados from Pokemon Evolutions, and this is a Holo Bleed. It does not look like it right now, but there you go. Here's a video from the seller. You can see it sparkling. I don't see it, but I can just imagine because I've seen the video. It is sparkling, and that sparkling all over the card helped it sell for a lot, gosh darn more. Usually goes for around $4 for a holo, which, again, it's just weird. I always say Evolutions is that like tipping point between modern and vintage, I would say. That's the cutoff in my mind. And it seems like this should sell for more, but it just doesn't. And so average non-air price $4. This one sold for $150. Woo! And so the EVI is 3,659%. And that's good enough for number 5 this week. I'm a pretty well-educated chap. Not to say I'm smart, but I went to high school, I went to college, and when you're in a group project and someone barely contributes, but you get an A, and so they get an A as well, that's kind of what this card is. So this is a first edition Haunter from Fossil Set, and this is the Cigar Stain error. Look above me, you might be able to see a little bit better. So this error ranges in severity. It can go all the way from a huge gold strip, basically from the top of Haunter all the way down to the lower middle part of the card. And it can also be as faint as right here, where it's just a little sliver. So technically this is the error. This is like, so what happened, yeah, with each sheet that this got printed on, it got less and less. So my money is saying that like this was probably one of the last sheets that got printed before where the ink ran out and the error stopped printing. And that tiny little, like several grams, I don't know how you measure ink, but that's 10 grams worth of ink. It's not. Sold for $150. Average non-error price is $37, so 305% EVI. I thought I saw a spider. Just for that little bit of ink. So an error nonetheless. Pretty cool, but not a big error. Hey look, another Haunter. Here, that fly, God. I wonder if you can see in the video. Is there a freaking fly or something? I saw something flying around. I felt it on my neck. Why am I freaking out so much? Here we have a Haunter with the blue stain error. So this is not first edition, but standard edition, and another repeating error for Haunter. And this one ranges in severity as well. You can kind of tell this one is more severe actually because the blue ink goes to the art box and a little bit over. Wouldn't you know it? This one sold for $150 too. $150 also. If you look above me here, there is a better photo to kind of show the ink error. And yeah, this is a cool one. It usually goes for around $12. Sold for $150, so 1,150% EVI. Not in the top 10, but very solid price. And it's kind of cool we have 2 Haunters back to back with 2 repeating errors. I'm just going to let this ride for a second. When I'm by myself, when I'm with other people, I think about the music that plays here and I laugh to myself. I don't know why I think it's that funny, but here we have an Ancient Mew with that fat bottom miscut. Alright, cut the music. Yeah, so we have an Ancient Mew CGC 9. You can see there is 2 alignment pluses on the back of the card. Or 1. I think 1. And there might be 1 on the front too, kind of hard to tell. But yes, clearly miscut and an awesome card, and sold for about double what it should have if it was the non-error version. Sold for $125 and an EVI of 91%. Alrighty, views have been down, and that could be for a couple of reasons. 1, because I don't know how to create a thumbnail. 2, because my content's not very good. And maybe 3, a combination of everything, because there's not enough interesting content. And that has led me to create this new segment called Let's Get Some Content for the Thumbnail! In all seriousness, I think the content I put out is pretty good. I put a lot of effort into it, but sometimes you need to work smarter and not harder. And I think if I am able to talk about some of these cool cards and put them in the thumbnail, it can get more viewers to this community. So I checked on Reddit and I saw this very, very interesting card. Actually, several cards. So this is by a user named Jade Lee Mai, and they have some of the most miscut base set cards I've ever seen in my life. You can see we have a base set Chansey, a base set Charizard, Alakazam, and Magneton. And the Chansey and Charizard fit together, and so do the Alakazam and the Magneton. Wow, that is freaking incredible. I would assume these are standard cut, or like these are not factory cut. So this user posted an update. So they posted this original post, and then they actually got the cards graded. And they graded it with a company called PCG, and I believe that is due to the restrictions of where they're actually located. So this was the grading company that made the most sense to actually get the cards graded, and they came back high grades. They got mint 9s for both of the Charizard and the Chansey. I'm not sure about the other two cards, but this is incredible. And I reached out to the user and said, hey, I have a Pokemon channel, and I linked it, and I said, could you tell me a little bit more about the backstory of this? And this person was just very lovely, and they gave me a nice little response, and I can just summarize it right here. So this user actually used to operate a trading card shop back in Malaysia from 2000 to 2005. Now this was more of a side gig that they had. They would have it running 3 days a week from Friday through Sunday. And after 2005, they realized, you know, that I don't want to do this anymore. And so they kind of left their cards in storage for 19 years and never really looked at them or touched them. And during those 19 years, they had sold a couple cards to either a friend or a family member, and nothing really too big with the trading card community though. So after a while, they had a friend who was actually starting to sell cards online as a side hustle, and so this user went and checked out their collection again, and this is where they found these crazy miscut cards. I don't know how you would miss this to start. Maybe, you know, they have so much going on with the business, they really didn't look at the cards too much, but they were just basically sitting on a mountain of gold, or any ore that is worth a lot of money. So yeah, there's a little bit more information, but everything kind of pertinent to this story is essentially that they had these cards and then they let them sit for 19 years, obviously well stored if they got graded this high, and then they pulled them out, got them graded, and they got graded very high. I didn't ask this user if they're going to sell the cards anytime soon, but for right now, let's just appreciate what they are, some of the most severe vintage miscuts that we have seen, especially on some of the rarest Pokemon cards out there. Now put that crap in the thumbnail and watch the video. I'll put it in the thumbnail, you watch the video. Alright, back to the rest of the video, thank you. Next up we have a Snorlax from Jungle Set. This is the non-holo version, and this is a repeating error. It's called the yellow ink smear. I think it's the highlighter error. They call it yellow ink smear in this title. That's alright, call it what you want, but it's the highlighter error. This one sold for $50. Usually goes for around $6.10. And let me talk about the error more. There is a yellow streak. It's like a sun streak going through the end of sleeping and the start of Pokemon in the little badge underneath the art box, and it goes over the P in power. Might be easier if I just put an arrow there, but I want to keep talking about it, so I'm not going to put an arrow. Right there. And this is a repeating error, and one that's kind of hard to find, and so that's why you see this selling for $50 and not anything less, because it is, I would say, one of the rarer errors. Here we have a Dark Ampharos from Neo Destiny, and I talked about this card last week, not this specific card, but this specific error, and found out that this is actually a repeating error. So this is in fact a holo shift. The part of the holo in the art box is shifted down a little bit, and holo shifts are actually due to a misaligned white ink layer. So that's what causes it, and this one is a repeating error. So you can see this on several different cards and it will be the exact same shift down. And this one sold in auction for $59.49. EVI of 83%. Is that right? It is. And obviously not prevalent enough of an error to be able to find the average price for the error. On price charting, at least. Next up, we have a raw first edition Ivy Pikachu. This error is the first edition stamp should not be there. Supposedly, 1 out of 10 jungle booster boxes contain this. And so, pretty rare, because you think jungle booster boxes weren't the only way that jungle cards were distributed, or the promo cards were distributed. And so with all of that, I don't know what the exact percentage comes to, but all we know is that this card always sells for a lot. This one sold in auction this week for $280. Woo! Average non-error price is around $8, so that's not bad for an old promo still. $8, you know, I guess it's Pikachu, but yeah, that gives the error value increase 3,404%. And that's good enough for number 7 this week on our list of EVI. You see this price is pretty darn close to the average price, so sometimes price charting is right. Hey look, first edition Ivy Pikachu. This one got graded as CGC 6.5 EVI of 1946%, and that's good enough for number 10 this week. Average error price, I've alluded to this before, but sometimes it's difficult to get a price for a 0.5, so a 6.5. I sometimes just go smack dab between the middle of the two, so between 310 and 512, but that's probably not the most accurate way to do it. So why don't you look and you determine what it is. Doesn't really impact anything for this video. Let's do some mental squats together and calculate that price. Next up, we have a first edition Typhlosion with the black dot error. Now this is one that is a repeating error, and that black dot is next to weakness on the bottom left part of the card. There's a little black dot. If you look above me, you can see a zoomed in version of that. And this one sold with Probstein auction, so they're a consignment shop. They've sold literally millions of Pokemon cards. That's crazy. And this one sold for $900. You can see average non-error price. So we don't have pricing for PGC. So I just I consider PGC and SGC to be about the same. PGC is probably a little bit worse. So I just put those together, and you can see EVI of around 50%. So not bad, honestly. You know, for a vintage holo like this, especially a first edition. Oh, did I put pricing for first edition or standard edition? Okay, I thought I was wrong. Something about me, or something about it told me that this was not right. I thought that I had done this before, and the PSA and CGC prices, or like all of them were crazy high. This makes a lot more sense now. Okay, so basically this is like the poster child for why you should not sell a card in auction. You should actually have it listed as best accepted offer price. And also why you shouldn't grade with PGC. This card can range in a perfect 10 from $2,000 to $12,000, depending on which grading company you have. And so you lose a lot of money by selling a card like this. So don't do that. I don't believe, you know, this would have been a negative error value increase, so it would have been an error value decrease. We're going to leave it at that. Sorry that was such a mess. Next up, we have a PSA 9 first edition Pinsir from Jungle Set. This is a holo card, and this is the scratch error. Now, what this is above the first edition stamp, there is a repeating scratch that is exposes part of the holo underneath the card, and it's very unique, very cool, and doesn't sell for a lot, especially when you do auction, as we just learned. This one sold for $93.20 this week. Even if it was a best accepted offer price, I don't see these cards going for a crazy high amount. Maybe you could get $200. Maybe if you sit and wait, I can see that. But yes, a very unique card, a very unique error. We always love seeing repeating errors on holo vintage cards. That's like checks all the boxes there, but just unfortunately this one doesn't sell for a lot. Next up, we have a not factory cut card. I thought this one's kind of interesting. This is a Raichu from Fossil Set, and then it is also the edge of a sheet miscut. So again, not factory cut. What someone did is they bought an uncut sheet from Wizards of the Coast, and then they use a Pokemon card as a template, and they cut it out themselves. There's a lot of divide in the error community. I know I've seen on Facebook posts before where people are talking about them. Some people are like, oh, they're paying too much money for this and whatnot, but I don't know where I sit on the fence here. I can see one side where someone's like, well, this is really stupid. Someone literally cut this out themselves. Why would you want that? But another part of me thinks most people can't afford to buy a full uncut sheet. And so if you can kind of have a cool piece of history, it kind of shows the backstory and shows the process of how these cards are made, and you pay a little bit of a premium for that, I can see that a little bit more. So I think I'm on team NFC, where I'm not pissed about it. I really, don't have too strong of feelings. I think it's very cool, and it really does kind of show the backstory of it. It is a little weird to think, though, that someone had to determine how miscut they're going to make something, if they're going to show one part of another card or whatnot. So that part's a little weird to me, but if you think about it as you're owning a piece of history and not as you're buying randomly cut piece of cardboard from some stranger for a lot of money, then I don't know where I'm going with this. So this one sold for $600 this week. That's a lot of money because this is a vintage hollow NFC and a edge of sheet cut. So all of those contribute to why this card sold for as much as it did. And you can see average non-air price is $15. So if this card were eligible for the top 10, which I do myself, so I'm kind of the curator, it would be at number... Oh, that'd be at number 4 this week, but it's not eligible because it is not factory cut. So, very cool card. So if you have any opinions on this NFC versus not NFC debate, let me know in the comments. I do like this to be a good open forum for people to discuss things too. So yeah, let me know and subscribe. Please subscribe, please, thank you. Next up, we have a CGC 9 Darkness and to Light Hollow. No. Next up, we have a CGC 9 Dark Scyther. This is a Japanese card. I don't know what Darkness and to Light is. Is that the set that this was for? Is that specifically a Japanese thing, or was that the name for the English one as well? I don't know, but this card is an insufficient ink error. If you don't believe me, look above me, and on the back of the CGC card, it says insufficient ink. I was looking at this a lot, and I think it's insufficient black ink. It looks like a lot of the text on the bottom part of the card is kind of faded a little bit. I don't know if that's just the angle of the photo, but that's my best guess. And didn't really sell for a lot for, I think the main reason it being a sold in auction. But yeah, this sold for $78.22 and had an EVI of 61%. Next up, we have a PSA 5 base set Charizard with the black dot error. There is a black dot on the I in Nintendo on the bottom of the card, and there's also a slight hollow shift. Now, if you want to see that closer up, look above me. I did the extra work, and you can see the hollow shift there, and you can see the black dot. It's actually on the N of Nintendo, the second N, not the I. And as always, not a high EVI for Charizard because it is a high ticket item. And so this one sold in auction for $410 for a PSA 5, EVI of 78%. And this is a repeating error. If I've said that already, I am sorry. Next up, we have a first edition Pikachu with the ghost stamp error. This is a repeating error, and the D and the 1 in first edition are missing, and the rest of it is faded like a ghost. That's how they got that. This is a cool repeating error, and sells for a lot for a couple of reasons, but the main reason being it's a first edition Pikachu error, repeating error, so that's the main reason why. This one sold for $250, and you can see that's just about right with the price charting average of $259. Card's in good shape too. I'd be curious to see it get it graded. You can see kind of the higher grades there. If you go from grade 8 and up, you can make a decent amount of money. So I'm wondering if this buyer is going to get it graded or not. Next up, we have a base set Blastoise with a red dot error. Not a red dot, the red dot error. This is a PSA 8, and that red dot is... Boy, I did a lot of work this week. Look above me. There's a close-up of it. It's above the 3 water symbols there. There's a repeating red dot there. And this is pretty darn cool. I always like seeing this one. I don't know why I like it more than... I don't know if I like it more than the... other 2 repeating Blastoise errors, but this one sold from an consignment shop and sold for $251 this week. Okay, I have a proposal for eBay. If someone runs up the bids and bids very high on a Pokemon card and then doesn't pay, I think you should be banned from the site. Not like you can create another account or anything. Like there should be a way where you have to like enter specific information and then you cannot enter the site again. So what happened here is this card sold for $1,025. This is a CGC 10 Black Dot Air Clefairy. This is a very awesome card. I think it definitely deserves to sell for this much. And you know, I was doing my research on Sunday, you know, looking through. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Add it to the list. And then I was searching eBay the other day, and I saw this got relisted, which tells me someone purchased it and then did not pay. Bastard. I'm sorry, I shouldn't swear, but that is a shitty thing to do. And so, yeah, this card is, I believe it's listed as just the best accepted offer price right now, or maybe it's back on auction. Either way, it's unfortunate. I hope this sells for as much as it did before, and I hope the person who ran up the bids and then didn't pay is in trouble. Let me know, what kind of capital punishment should we do for people who don't pay what they say they're going to pay? Let me know in the comments. This should be a very interesting comment section of everything I've requested today, but no one's probably going to put anything. That's okay too. I'm having fun. So maybe I'll talk about this one. I will talk about this one when it sells next, because I guaranteed it will. It's an awesome card. And I hope it sells for as much as it was supposed to. Oh, this is an interesting one. So right now I'm looking at a blank screen because I just decided I'm just going to put the full screenshot on. Why didn't I do that? I don't know. Or maybe I'm going to show a video. I'm going to do something, but... So an employee with long hair, it looks like, had one of those hairs fall out, and it landed on the cards in the printing process, and then the printing process just kept doing its thing, and then you get left with this line that's going through, and you can see this person must have pulled them all together because these cards line up, they match, and that is so freaking cool. Is this like the world's longest printer, Hickey? It might be if it spans over the course of 4 cards. I don't know, but these 4 cards sold for $110 this week. Pretty neat. I probably could have done the math on what they're all worth by themselves and combined and everything. I didn't want to, so let's just take a moment and appreciate it. Okay, on to the next one. Next up, we have a Sylveon GX. This is from Guardians Rising. And this is a... Oh, I was going to do the fat bottom stuff. No, this is a top heavy miscut. I don't have a song for that. So this is a top heavy miscut. You can see it more clearly on the back. Just all that blue there. And it looks like we have 2 alignment dots on the top right and the top left for front and back respectively. And this CGC 9 sold for $500. That's a lot. Average non-error price is $19.51. And that gives us a 2,463% EVI. That's number 9. Next up, we have a Charizard that breaks my streak of saying Charizards don't have high EVIs. So here we have a BGS 6 Japanese base set Charizard with the no rarity error. Or this could be more thought of as a variant or just the first edition version. So essentially what this is there is no rarity symbol in the bottom right of the card, and this is thought to be like the first edition of Japanese cards. And they always sell for a lot. This one got sold. This one sold for $2,300. If you have a standard Japanese grade 6 card, that usually sells for around $200. That gives us a 1,077% EVI, and that's crazy. That's a lot. We got 1,000% EVI for a Charizard. Alright. You can see average price for this is actually around $3,000 because price charting tracks the no rarity symbols for all of the cards, and so at one point this was selling for around $3,000 for a grade 6. Boy, I know no rarity Blastoise sold for the most ever for a Blastoise. I wonder if a no rarity Charizard PSA 10 would sell for the most. More than a PSA 10 first edition English base set Charizard. I don't know. Is there one out there? Has it sold? Let me know. But yes, very cool. Very, very cool to see. That's a lot of money and a high EVI for a Charizard. Here we are. At the end, we have a base set Beedrill with a D.offending error. Now this one's been in the top 10 recently, and it actually won recently, I believe, a couple weeks ago. And so this error is very unique. It's under Poison Sting there. Defending, there's a period after the D. This is a repeating error, and they all sell for a lot of money. Bad condition, good condition. Obviously good condition sells for more than the bad condition, but they all sell for a lot. And this one is no exception. This one sold for $205 this week. You can pick up a non-error version for $3.29. That makes the EVI 6,131%. And that is number 1 this week on the list of EVI. There's been a lot going on recently, so I appreciate everyone watching this video. Things might need to change up a little bit. It's getting to be a lot to do this. I might change up the format. The talking in front of the camera and the video editing is fun. It's just all the prep work. I don't know what I'm going to do. But if you like this video, please leave a comment. Give me a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed already, please do that. And I will most likely see you next week. Take care.